And we're back on Second Street talking about the situation in Venezuela, particularly what the implications are for Canada. Ed, before the break, I think you did a good job there, sort of painting the picture for viewers in terms of how this could affect Canada. What is your advice if, say, Prime Minister Carney calls you tomorrow and he says, "Ed, what do we need to do to make sure that Canada's industry isn't harmed by what's happening in Venezuela?" What would be your advice to him?
Get a pipeline built to the West Coast. Um,
You know,
we have the MOU in place, which is kind of an aspirational document, um, and it ties a new pipeline of about 1 million barrels a day. Also mentions the expansion of Trans Mountain for another 400,000 barrels a day.
mhm.
We need access to tidewater, more access to tidewater, and an alternative to U.S. markets, especially given that it looks like this investment in Venezuelan heavy oil will be de-risked by the U.S. government somehow. So we really need more pipe, and it can't wait. We need to get cracking on this. 2 or 3 years to get a new pipeline system permitted is just not going to cut the mustard. These Our competitors are moving very quickly, and
Yeah.
we seem to have our hands tied here in Canada. So that's the first thing is to be real about it, and let's get a pipeline corridor to the west coast going.
It seems to be the same old story. It just takes forever to get something done in this country. We've got, you mentioned expanding the Trans Mountain Pipeline. That's the new pipeline, of course, that goes from Alberta to the west coast of BC there. Um, Beyond simply expanding it, if we've already got that corridor and it's kind of cleared through for transporting oil, why not just build another pipeline or two or whatever beside it? Because you've already got the land. It's already been surveyed. You've already had the discussions with the Aboriginal communities along the way. Of course, you'd have to have more, I'm sure, but why not just continue to load it up? Is it a risk factor that you don't want all your oil going through the same location, or why is that not? Why doesn't that seem to be something that's on the table?
I'm not a big fan. I just don't see that a lot more tanker traffic coming out of Vancouver is a good thing.
Mm.
I'd much rather see another route north to Prince Rupert or Kitimat, and where you would also have tanker traffic if they drop the moratorium C-48. So that needs to be done. But it could be twinned. We could well, it is twinned already. Could add another loop. Um,
Yep.
into Vancouver. And, if that's more politically palatable, I'm agnostic about it. Let's just get more oil to Tidewater and into those Asian markets and potentially, more oil to the US by looping around.
I want to ask you to look into your crystal ball here for a minute. At the beginning of 2025, when Donald Trump became prime minister or president, uh, he started flexing his muscles, imposing tariffs and so forth. And it seemed like everyone in Canada realized we as a nation cannot be so dependent on the US for trade, particularly with our oil and gas sector, because so much of the energy we produce is exported to the US. And everyone seemed to say, yeah, 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 we need a pipeline. And of course, nothing happened. So do you think we've finally hit the right breaking point where people understand that, yeah, we do actually need a pipeline?
Well, it's hitting pocketbooks. Our GDP per capita is plummeted versus the
Hmm.
US. And recall that the original grand bargain during the NAFTA negotiations was that we would give the US access to our energy and we would get access to their markets. They don't need our energy now.
Hmm.
So what is
Yeah.
our leverage? That's why we need pipe to tidewater. We have critical
Yeah.
minerals, et cetera, as leverage, uranium, but the energy leverage is gone. And we are dealing with a very savvy trading and negotiating partner here.
Ed, as always, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Colin.
Well, as always, thanks for tuning in to learn about this important topic about what's going on in Venezuela and the implications for Canada. We hope you'll consider tuning in again next week.